I'm like, I want to bring you into this setting where I'm like looking at the birds. I feel like I'm living my best retiree life. And I'm like, oh, this is just gorgeous. Where's my cup of tea? Oh, lovely. Hello, and welcome to the Weeder Life podcast. I'm your host, Erica Weederlight, and I am the CEO and founder of Weederlight. I help humans who feel inadequate, broken, self-conscious, and shamed around their sexuality to reclaim their aliveness, their power, and to have a renewed relationship to pleasure while preparing themselves to feel hella confident to date others and themselves. AKA, I'm guiding people to live their #best lives. I have to give you a fair warning. I do unfortunately swear like a drunken sailor, so if you do have little ones by you, just be sure to pop in some earbuds. All right, friends, let's buckle up and let's rock it to this week's episode. Oh, you caught me. You caught me being in my discipline of my aliveness. Not this. Oh, she's shy, honey. Wow, what a different way to record today. Ooh, just me getting drunk off of this beautiful sunrise that I'm witnessing. It's the wee hours of the morning, and I'm looking at the beautiful palm trees, and I'm actually peeking my head, seeing the sunrise come up. Oh no, I might have to go. The sunrise she's flirting with me. Something, bye. I'm like, I gotta, hold on. I'm checking her out. Yep, just checking her out. But I was like, I can't record in my usual little recording booth. I need to be with my aliveness for today, and that's the vibe for today. And I'm looking at the beautiful sunrise. Have I been saying sunrise? Sunset. Sunrise, sunset. We love a good fiddler reference. So I have so many memes about that song. But I was saying sunrise, right? Not sunset. So I'm looking at the sunrise and like the most adorable little birds. Oh, there they are. I just like want to bring you in. I'm like, I want to bring you into this setting where I'm like looking at the birds. I feel like I'm living my best retiree life. And I'm like, oh, this is just gorgeous. Where's my cup of tea? Oh, lovely. But it felt only appropriate to actually get lost in my aliveness and my senses before recording this episode. So how did I do that? I'm really present to my 5 senses. I'm really present before recording. I was like, oh, okay, I feel the breath in my lungs, I suppose. I had to take a deep breath because I felt the contraction. I'm definitely enjoying this view, honey. I put on a little music to get into my body, like, oh, yeah, it's like some nice, soft, gooey sounds, and did some movement. And yeah, I got embodied. I got lost in my aliveness, which, how I came up with this, I was scrolling my brain and my content because I feel very blessed that I'm so immersed in this work, but I'm like, dear Lord, like so much happens. Because for me, my clients are individuals, right? Like in some ways, people are attracted to this work for similar reasons. And then in other ways, people are doing their thing. You know what I mean? We'll talk about that later, like how people like to be held is different, how what's coming up in people's lives are different. So it's like, wow, like I'm having a little whiplash of like all that's going on. And when I was thinking about this episode, I was like, oh, there's so much to talk about. I'm holding so much space for so many humans right now. I celebrate that I have the most fucking badass one-to-one clients. I have incredible clients in my group program. I am leading a ton of workshops and speeches and this and that. So it's just a lot of energetics. And so I was like, where am I even pulling from? Like, because there's a lot of different things going on right now. There's a lot of energetics happening in the world right now. And then I was like, abam, abam, here it is. And this week in one of my classes, because you know me, she loves continued education. She loves that continued education. But so in one of my classes, I will say that for the rest of my life, in one of my classes this week, one of our teachers was asking, like, what do you think the essence of this work is? Like, what do you think, what is this? Like, boil it down. And, you know, people were saying embodiment, self-love, self-approval, making yourself right, creating safe space to feel it all. And I was like, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Love, 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 love. And then for me, all of the above. And when I really tuned in, I found it, located myself. Remember, was it last week where I was like, what the fuck is this for? Like, I also said it last week, I think it was, on the pod. And then all week I'm like, what the hell was it again? And now I'm like, right, locate. But I located myself and I located what the deal was. And I'm like, what is this for me? Like, it's all of the above. But like, what is this? And yes, it's turn on. Yes, it's pleasure. Yes, it's radiance. Yes, it's creation and safety and ta. But for me, the core essence of a lot of this work is the path of being a disciple of my aliveness. ... To have deep discipline to my aliveness, comma, and radiance. What, would a comma go there? I've always made that up. I'm horrendous at like commas and semicolons. I just fucking make it up and it never makes sense. So you get what I'm saying. I can't pack a punch with my grammar. But over the years, and especially as I get even more fine-tuned with my work and my clients and what I'm here to do, as just an Erica human, is to be a disciple and to have deep discipline and devotion to my aliveness, period. ... To my turn on, to my creativity, to my radiance. And here's the thing. Some people may be like, ooh, I got chills. They're electrifying. You know, like that might be like, that sounds hot. And for some, that may be a little triggering because I want to clarify that aliveness, radiance, doesn't necessarily mean, sachet, kickball change. You know, like it can. It can. But for me, my aliveness means it all. You know what I mean? Like it's a container for all of it. Also, speaking of all of it, like now that we're here, I did not expect this part of this to come up, but I've really been on and I'm in the we phases, my self-reclamation journey around my neurodivergence. I've talked about it a little bit in the podcast before, and it was one of I don't want to say one of my deepest, but it was a deep pain for me growing up. But it taught me so much. Like, and I've talked about this before in the podcast, like it taught me so much, and it actually allowed me space to be a creative. It really, I'm thinking of all the times, this is a sidebar, but I'm thinking of all the times that because of the shame and the confusion of my neurodivergence, it allowed me to lean on my personality, you know, and it allowed celebration of my personality. Because I wasn't celebrated in school the academic way, I was so fucking celebrated in my personality. I think I've told you this before, but I used to be like, I'm not fucking running the mile. Like, I'm not running the mile. You know what I mean? I just put on full high school glam. I'm not running the mile. And I would make negotiations with my teachers. She's like, all right, sing me a few songs. And so I'd sit, she's like, tell me a few jokes. And as like, oh, as that is, it actually really gave me a space to be celebrated in my personality. And we would chat, we would laugh, I would sing, we would like, again, you know, LOL, 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 but like it really gave me a safe container for me to be myself. And why, wow, we're going back to this is because I noticed as I was talking about the radiance and the aliveness, I was like deeply concentrated and my ADHD was like, bye. Like literally like, okay, bye. And I'm like, bye. But this this is part of my aliveness. Like this is part of my fucking Erica footprint. And your footprint will be your energetic signature, if you will. And so part of my journey to my aliveness is not only the pleasure work and the kickball change and the feeling all the emotions, which we're going to talk about, but it's also deep self-acceptance that how I do life may look a little different. And for many years I was like, fuck, that's really weird and wrong and bad. But part of me owning my aliveness, owning my radiance is getting behind how I do it and how my brain works, you know, and how my body works. So that's like a really, it's not actually, I'm not even going to fucking downplay it. I'm like, that's a really random ass side note. I'm like, it's not a really random ass side note. It's the self-acceptance piece, right? Because it's really hard for us to be embodied and in our aliveness and in our turn on and in our radiance if we feel fundamentally wrong and we feel fundamentally bad about ourselves. And I know, you know, I love a good mindset here and there. You know, I love to write, love to have journals on journals on journals on journals, which I could talk about, but we're going to keep it focused. But in so many of my journals with my mindset, when I would work through different prompts about like what I wanted, or it was always the story of I'm bad, I'm stupid, here, like there's something fundamentally wrong with me. Until, yes, I did the body love work, of course, until I did self-acceptance work, hell yeah. But really for me, my key, and I actually am going to bring my really great friend on maybe next week. Let's see how the cow, we talked about it yesterday. My really great friend has been a really healing aid in my journey with this. But me owning my gifts, because they're motherfucking gifts, and me accepting how my brain works, though it's not quote unquote typical, and me jamming with it being cool, and me being like, fuck yeah, like knowing that about myself, it's unlocked room for me to be in my aliveness because I feel like I'm worth it. Does that make sense? Because for so many years, I felt fundamentally wrong. And like I said, if you feel fundamentally wrong or broken, it's hard to sidestep. It's possible, but it's fucking hard to sidestep and then be like, I'm worthy of radiance and embodying my full self and my aliveness. Because there's this narrative, there's this wrongness, there's this like, I need to dampen myself because there's something fundamentally bad. But when I've unlocked this part of myself, this different new layer of self-acceptance that I've gotten to, dear Lord, it has opened up the floodgates. So it's funny, I was like talking and I was really hyper-focused on which we'll come back to. And then I was like, I saw myself making myself really wrong. Like, Erica, you fucking, holy shit, your ADHD is so bad. You're so over the place. And I'm like, no, yo, like this is part of my gifts. And even if it's not part of my gifts, this is part of who I am. And I'm really done. It's really not, I'm old. What? It's old. It's not, I'm not down to crucify myself anymore. That it's not following the linear journey of where my quote unquote thoughts should go. I'm not down to subscribe to that shit anymore. I'm not. No, thank you. And so why I'm saying this is I hope it gives permission for you and where you're at on your journey to like, where can we fucking stop crucifying ourselves? Like, where can we put the weapon down? And you know, I didn't even know that this was so deeply embedded in me. I thought really it was a lot of like the body positivity and the self-talk, and that fucking blew the doors open, blew them open. But this last piece, honey. So going back to our aliveness, because this is all part of it, right? Like I was saying, like the aliveness is not just sweet sugar, on the bed, pleasure. Like, yes, we love that. Yes, your aliveness. Yes, your radiance is recording a podcast episode and looking at the glorious sunrise. Oh my gosh, sunrise. I think it's just because I want to sing the song. You know what I mean? I'm so tempted to sing sunrise, sunset, but the sunrise and the palm trees sway. Like, yes, that is a fundamental piece of the aliveness, the radiance, is tapping into the five senses, tapping into the body, tapping into the pleasure, tapping into the turn on. Your aliveness is, like we just talked about, also making yourself right, getting behind yourself, celebrating yourself. And also part of the aliveness is the aliveness of all of it. And sometimes that's shit. You know what I mean? And a lot of us are really resistant to being with, a lot of us are honestly really resistant to being with the good shit too. Because there's a fear, right? Like, oh no. Like if I enjoy this, like if I'm really present to this, ooh, I'm getting emotional. This is like a very, very beautiful sunrise. But if I'm really present to this, what if it gets taken away from me? So many of us, we live right in the middle because the shit feels obviously like hot shit and not a good hot shit, like a warm turd. So like not down for that journey. And then the good stuff is like, yeah, like duh, who doesn't want good stuff? But it feels foreign to our brain and our body. And I so often, and I talked to a lot of clients this week, that they were like, I don't feel safe to sustain and hold the good things. And we've talked about that before. So what ends up happening is we're like, I'm out. I'm gonna fucking coast. Like that feels safer. Let me put the age old story of let me put my head down, and just keep the train moving. Let me just keep the party going. Let me keep the train going. I'm not going to get like too high, too low. Like, let me just stay like porridge. It's just right. You know what I mean? It is porridge, right? But like, I'm going to stay right here. And I really do believe this, to which we own our darkness. And I don't know I think so many people have repackaged the saying. I'm like, is this a Course in Miracles thing? Is this a Marianne Williamson thing? But to which we own our darkness, we can own our light. And it's true. It's true. Like part of our aliveness, part of our radiance, like I said, is not just the, it's also the fuck. I can be present and, oy vey, taking a deep breath on this. I can be present to deep grief and rage. And I know how to hold that. I don't let it, and sometimes, it's appropriate when grief it's fucking hits us like a wave. But I know those emotions, I know how to hold them deeply, and I give them a space to move through my body, and move through me, right? I had a friend, actually the friend that I was just talking about, and you're not going to be surprised, we're in a class together. And she knows I'm going through the shit. Just a lot of grief, a lot of, a lot of grief, just a lot's going on. And so we're talking, and she's like, hey, you, like, I know you're like going through the shit, but you look amazing. She's like, you look so radiant and so regal and so royal and so in your pleasure. She's like, I feel you energetically. And I was like, thank you. She's like, it's showing. And it's because I'm showing up for the deep fucking grief. I'm making containers to show up for my grief, for my rage, for the not so cute parts that are going on. But I'm also being fucking resilient. and relentless, as I say that every fucking week in my group coaching. You know, they're like, what are you celebrating this week? I'm like, I am a relentless bitch about this work. And I truly am. I am relentless and devotional and a disciple, if you will, of my radiance, of my turn on, of my aliveness. Because here's the shit, and we've talked about this many times. I don't know that we have no promises. You know what I mean? Like, this has been something that has been key and fundamental, is I don't know how long I'm going to be here. You know what I mean? So, and that doesn't mean like live it like YOLO, bye, swipe the credit card. You know, like, it's not from a disempowered place of like, yes. And then we're like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it's holding the vision of like a fucking gorgeous future. And I'm still walking with all of my, it's 2 feet in the door, 2 hands, the pot. One of the hands is, and we'll always be cultivating this, right? Like, I have a pretty clear idea of what, in a way, but of what my desires look like, right? Like, of what I want the future to look like, of what the vision is that we're creating. So in one hand, there's the creation of what's next and the future. And oh my gosh, like jamming on the possibilities of like, I can't wait to create this. And this is what I really desire. And then on the other hand, knowing there's no guarantee, you know, like, though I want that and I'm going to fucking work towards it and I'm going to like do all the things to do it, you know, and try to make it happen on the journey. I don't know. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be relentlessly grateful for this moment and present. And I'm not perfect. So let me tell you, you know what I mean? Like, I will jump off, forget, and then I come back. And that's the practice of this work. I just, again, talked to a teacher, LOL, about this work. And we were talking that, like, it's all about coming back. That's the work. You know, like, yes, we can make it as complicated and whatever as possible, but like, the work is coming back to our soul. The work is coming back to our radiance. The work is coming back to our aliveness. So is my intention to live my life and create my life in the most beautiful way possible and pray for that my future is hot damn and juicy as fuck? Hell yeah, bitch. And in the interim, I'm going to work with what I got, you know, and I'm going to make it as joyful and as present as possible. And sometimes, you know the deal, the cards that were dealt aren't juicy dripping cards. Sometimes they're, oh boy. But that's helped me not take advantage of the moment, you know? Like, these situations, I feel, and we've talked about this a lot, has reminded me, like I said, there's no promises. There's no promises of the next moment. And so I'm not saying this from a bypassy place to be like, just be happy because we don't know. It's like, that's problematic. Like, no. It's jamming with what is. And I believe for me, that's what's helped me get out of that gray area we talked about, that autopilot area, all right, another day. I'm going to eat my turkey sandwich because every Tuesday I eat a turkey sandwich. You know, like, it's gotten me out of that. And some of it is, my friend and I, we talk about being darkness doulas. And that's an honor and a fucking privilege to be able to hold others' darkness and their shadow and my own, where I'm like, oh, there she is. There she is. There's my darkness. But I've gotten good at, you know, obviously for others, but for myself, really, holding all the different parts of myself, like we talked about. Even my neurodivergence, which I tried to mask and push down. Not that that's my shadow by any stretch, but I've gotten really good at being alive. And, I think in ways in the past I was, and then I would numb, dampen my soul, So there was these moments of like, fuck yes, like peak, like you're living, baby. But it was like one note, and it kind of was like that wild summer season note of like, I'm alive, and hot, love that. But anything else felt really scary. So it was like, now I'm going to black out. Now I'm going to numb with food or not eating too much or eating too much. Not, what too much means, right? Like I don't mean from a weird fucking place, from a place of like, I would get myself sick or I'm going to overspend. Like I would do all these things to avoid my aliveness. And my aliveness was not only the yes, but the oh shit. And all of the shades, all of the 50 shades of gray. And it's not a fun 50 shades of gray, that middle area. But yeah, the aliveness is not only the darkness doula, but it's the here I am recording the podcast, looking at the fucking birds. It's all of it. It's all of it. It's all of it. It's literally all of it. And so often I hear in spaces, all is welcome here, but that's kind of exactly it. Like, all is welcome here. Yeah, because that's our fucking aliveness. That's the beauty of this life. And I could jam on that for 5 hours, but let's not. Because I could really just be like, oh, like literally fucking whip out a guitar and sing to you. So let's pause on that. But with that being said, for me, I really try to create a space for my clients, whether it's one-on-ones, group coaching, even in situations like workshops or speeches, but especially with the people, the folks that are really, I see weekly or monthly or on a consistent basis. I like to show up as their biggest advocate. And sometimes we can't see ourselves, especially when we're in the gray area. You know what I mean? Like, especially when we are in the autopilot area, it's hard to think that there's anything else. But I'm their constant reminder of like, there's more, and I got you, and I'm holding you. And I do that in an assortment of ways, like, sure, yes, we do that through our sessions, but it's also accountability, right? Like, in how I hold people. So someone 1 week may need me to show up with more mothering, loving vibes of like, hey, babe, you got this. Let's self-soothe. Some weeks, someone may need me to be their cheerleader. Some weeks, someone may need me to bring more an aggressive, like, babe, my angel baby, I love you. And what are you doing? You know what I mean? So the Cliff Notes is underneath all of those archetypes, whether it's bringing more fierce, it's not really even fucking tough love, but like more fierce love or more gentleness. Under the core of this is that someone fucking sees you. Someone sees you, and someone is not going to let you give up on your dreams and your desires and your aliveness. Your aliveness meaning all of it. Like, there's someone in your corner, and I know sometimes that feels like, I'm so seen. But there's someone in your corner that's not going to let you sleep on why you're here. And again, that could be threatening for some folks, and that's totally cool. But I know if you're here, I think that's in your wheelhouse, that you're like, yeah, I want to be fucking alive. I want to be tuned in to my radiance and my joy and my turn on. And it's hard to do it alone. Like, I've done it alone. I have many seasons and cycles where I do it alone. And that's appropriate. You know what I mean? For sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm burnt out with like certain things. So like, I'm going to be in the cycle or the season where for a moment, I'm doing it alone. And rock on. God bless. Like, cool. But most of the time, I do need that accountability of someone deeply seeing me like, hey, E, I got you. I see you. I know you want more. And sometimes it's appropriate for me to push and go, come on, or like, we're good. I'm going to hold you in where you're at. Cliff Notes is, we all need to be held in community. We all need to be held, whether it be, like I said, community, whether it be with a coach, a therapist, a facilitator. We all need that holding. We're relational beings. So I don't want to get lost on this too long. But the deal I do want to offer, if you're like, fuck, I want to be seen. I want to be held. I want to talk about how the fuck to get out of the gray area. You know what I mean? And like, I want to be held in my dark, I want to, like, what is my darkness? I want my darkness to feel a little bit more safe, or like, I want to talk about the pleasure stuff, or I want someone to like hold me through my accountability with my dreams or my desires or any of it, like I want someone to cheerlead me and encourage me and to see me and fight for me. For all of it, like I said, right? Like the darkness, the pleasure, the turn on, the radiance, all of it, body love, sensuality, sexuality, blah, 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 like all the above, all I can list, all the things that I fucking do, self-expression, embodiment, aliveness. Yeah, if you're feeling that call, and I'm sure you are if you're here, reach out. We don't need to make it too crazy. Reach out to me. Send me an email, info@wethelight.org, or find me on the gram @wethelight_LLC, and just shoot me a message and be like, can we talk? And I'll be like, yes. And we'll dive in. We'll do a 60-minute sesh. It's totally free. You know the deal. And let's see if it's appropriate to work one-on-one. Let's see if that's not the jam. And if it's like, hey, maybe group, or hey, you know what? You're actually looking for this. Let me connect you with my friend. Or you're actually looking for this type of thing. Let me connect you here. Or that actually felt that 60 minutes, that free 60 minutes got what you needed. Great. Cool. You know what I mean? But if you're feeling any little tug, I'm going to like lovingly dare you to fucking reach out and receive. That's a huge part of my work with my clients too, is half the time they're just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm asking too much of you. I'm taking up too much space, right? Because with my clients, my one-on-one clients, not only do we do sessions, but in the interim, in between, we go through back and forth talking. And so I'm like, hello, I'm here, reach out. And they're like, I feel bad. And I'm like, yes, exactly. This is part of the work of taking up space, asking for help, receiving. So if you're feeling the nudge of like, oh, I'm nervous, but I kind of do want to know what it would be like to work one-on-one, or I dare you to reach out. I dare you to reach out. I dare you to press an edge. I dare you to be witnessed, held. I dare you to fight for yourself in some way and to reach for something that would nourish you. So I dare you, I lovingly dare you. If that feels like, oh, that will get me back to my aliveness, I dare you to shoot me an email, info@wethelight.org. We'll set you up a free sesh and we'll do the things. Speaking of fighting for our aliveness or daring ourselves, I know I talked about this recently with the habits. I think it actually probably was the last episode, the episode before, but I've gotten really good, as my life has shifted, I've gotten really good at doing tools every day. Because I know I'm holding an immense amount of people. I know I'm holding an immense amount of energy. I need to do the work. Like there's no way I would frickin' function without this work. And I noticed as I've gone on my journey, my capacity for holding has shifted. And so Cliff Notes, I could give you a whole fucking episode on that, but let's not. But what I've been learning is as I've been holding, right, so much more, because I'm holding more aliveness. Again, I'm holding way more pleasure, way more presence that I've had in years, but I'm also holding deep grief and deep relationship to my spirit, So I'm holding a deeper spirituality than I ever have before. And so that just doesn't show up. You know what I mean? Like a container just doesn't fall into your lap. It's not like, and now we hold the space. I've been actively creating and using the tools, which you would do if we worked one-on-one together, actively using the tools. And I noticed that container, I outgrew it. And we're always going to outgrow containers, right? Like we're always going to outgrow ourselves. And recently I'm like, fuck, I just created a new container. Like I just did this. But good job, E. That means you're growing quickly. So with that being said, I was like, I just did this. And for me, the flavor that I needed was the pleasure piece. Daily pleasure. Not, like I really needed to hone into my radiance tools, my pleasure tools, because that created that embodiment, that pleasure created safety in my body to hold more. You know the deal. It's like you can't, whatever. There's so many fucking examples. Like put on your oxygen mask first, or you can't give from like a glass half full. And so, yes, I was working all of these tools like every day, which, wow, what a privilege that I have all of these fucking resources and these tools. But there was so much energetics that I needed a different sauce. You know what I mean? Like we needed to add a few more different ingredient. Like love that recipe. So hot, delicious, but gorgeous. We needed to create a new recipe. And this recipe, and this season, right? It could fucking change tomorrow. But the recipe in this season was more pleasure. And we could talk about that for days. And again, I'm here to talk about that. But that pleasure has been that daily discipline, because this work is a fucking discipline. This discipline of pleasure has had me been able to hold more for people. You know the deal, right? Like, when you're feeling like shit and someone's like emotionally dumping on you, you're like, bye. Like I notice where I'm at when I'm like, when I use language, like I don't have the space, or like, oh God. But when I do prioritize the pleasure and the care and the nourishment and the embodiment and the feeling, I'm more like, yeah, totally. I hear you. I could, and it's not necessarily that like that like that flavor, but I have more space because I'm resourced is the Cliff Notes. It's not Cliff Notes because this is a long ass Cliff Notes, but like I'm resourced, right? Like I can hold people more. I can see people more because I'm not holding resentment like, fuck you. Well, what about me? Because I've been held. I am being held. In all of it. So I can deeply hold others. And this applies if you're in this work, right? Like if you're a facilitator of if you're in a leadership position, or if you're just a human, right? Like we all need the skills, and we weren't taught really how to hold ourselves deeply, so deeply that we can hold situations and we can hold others pretty peacefully. So this is a skill for all of us that we all need to learn how to regulate, to learn how to come back to ourselves, to learn how to locate ourselves and come back and nourish with aliveness and pleasure. And I want to bring this up really briefly because I told myself this would be a quick episode, but she loves to chat. She loves to chat to her friends, with her friends. I've definitely said this before. And I think will always say, I've said this before because I have. It's repetitive. It sounds really easy, but it sounds really easy, but this work is a fucking discipline. It's a discipline because our resistance will always come up. Our conditioning will always come up that it's not important. It's not that nothing's really that bad. It's all good. Pleasure is silly. It's unnecessary. It's dirty. Like we will always be hitting new levels of our resistance. And this work is so fucking potent for ourselves and the planet. Like it's needed. I say to everyone's like, how are you? And I'm like, and I thank God every day that I have this work. I don't even want to. I can't imagine how I would be dealing. I don't know if I would be dealing. I think I would have been in that like, bye, I'm blacking out. I have no idea. And I don't really care to entertain that. Beyond in awe, grateful that I have this work because I feel, though I don't fucking want to, though I would choose not to, I really rather not, I have the tools, I have the community, right? And this is why working with someone's so important. But I have the community, I have the tools, I know how to resource myself, I know how to hold my emotions, I know how to use pleasure and turn on and my radiance as a way to come back to myself and hold space, that I've gotten good at walking into different situations. Again, do I want to walk into all of them? No. Do I love every fucking card I was dealt? No. Am I grateful for most of them? Fuck yeah. But those cards that I'm like, oh, not this. Like, can we shuffle the deck? Like, bringing the card across the table. I'm like, you could take that one back now. But I've gotten, before I wouldn't be able to hold that. I would escape. I would run. I would go into fight for, mine would be probably freeze or get the fuck out of there. But now I've learned how to hold myself so deeply that I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. Like, this is the card. All right. This is the card. And because of this work, I know how to hold the card with grace, with fierceness, with badassery. I'm just so fucking proud of myself. And eternally grateful that this work kept finding me. And if you're here, the work is finding you too. You know what I mean? Like, the work wants to, it's available for you. I hate that it's like the work. It's called the work, but you get what I'm saying. But it's a discipline. It's a discipline. It's a practice. It doesn't feel available. Like, it doesn't feel available, meaning what's more available is shrinking, collapsing, not dealing, avoiding. And those are sometimes appropriate and cool. You know what I mean? Like, we're not saying that's wrong. Sometimes, cool. That's totally the fucking route to go. Hell yeah. Like, we're human. Yep. Mm-hmm. But this work is discipline because it's the relentlessness of, oh, damn it, I was given that card. Or even if it was a good card, or even if shit was good and I blacked out, like, because I just wasn't present. It's the relentless coming back. It's the discipline. This work is a fucking discipline. And as we know, sometimes when we're, disciples of, and it could be the most rewarding thing on the planet. So yes, I am proud to say, even though I fall off the wagon all the fucking time, that I am a disciple to my soul, to love, to radiance, to turn on, to this beautiful magic. And though it's fucking hard, it's a discipline that has taught me so much and has gifted me so much. So I could talk about this for 5 years, but I would love to chat more about this if this is something that is interesting to you. And I'm hardcore. Like, I'm a fucking Virgo. I'm intense. Like, I'm a disciple to my aliveness. So like, I like to go full out. If you're like, I don't know if I'm a full disciple, or like, I don't know if I want to be like totally disciplined or like totally like full in, but like, I could jam, like I could jam here and there, like, or I could start presencing this in my life, or yeah, like, let's talk about it. Like, let's start peppering it in, right? Like, we're not going to go from zero to fucking discipline of this, where it's like, whoa, damn, Erica, holy shit, intense. But if you're like, or you may be like, I'm ready, let's go, baby. I'm ready to be devotional to my aliveness, to my joy, to my magic, to my radiance. Or if you're like, hey, babe, not on that scale, but like ready for more pleasure, ready for more self-acceptance, ready for more love, that's cool too. You know what I mean? So if you're as hardcore as me, phenomenal. If you're like, not my flavor, phenomenal too. I'm here to catch you. Like I said, I'm here to cheerlead you, hold your back, rock you on. We're rocking you on. But I'm here to deeply hold you. So whatever flavor, whatever texture, whatever way you want to be in this world, I got your back. And it would be a pleasure and an honor to hold space for you. So you know the deal. Shoot me an email, info@wethelight.org, @wethelight_LLC, and we'll do the jams. I fucking love you. Oh, and P.S., how are you going to make space for your aliveness today? Is it giving yourself a moment to be in your body? Is it calling a friend and talking about celebrations? Is it doing a 2-minute dance break? Is it being really present, sitting outside and looking at the trees? What is it? So I'm curious, how will you today be in devotion? And it could just be 2 minutes, doesn't have to be a whole thing. But how today will you be in devotion to your aliveness, your turn on, your pleasure, your radiance? As always, you're fucking hot. Love ya. Bye. Thank you, seriously thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and on this podcast journey. And if you loved what we talked about today and you know another human who could definitely benefit from what was discussed, I would so appreciate if you would go ahead and share this podcast with them. Don't forget, hit subscribe or follow so you never ever miss an episode. And the great news is you can always follow me, my work, my blog, my podcast on my website at www.wethelight.org. And hey, remember, life is so much brighter when we shine. I'll see you next time.